Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 206. I am Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snitsky. Hello.
Hi there, that's me.
How goes?
Good.
Hello,
listener.
It's already 41 degrees out. I'm really digging this.
Yeah, I brought the Fiat today.
Very good.
Yes.
Extra wins.
Yep.
Before we dig into topics, I briefly want to cover our Patreon page. We have at least one new patron, so thank you, Tucker, for joining us last week.
Yay.
Patreon.com/Carbitrage. If you head on over to that slightly personalized site, you will find 2 levels of open-ended support for content consumers like you to support content producers like us, namely a beer fund and then contributing to our hosting costs. Head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage. Alrighty, for beer, I have a Northeast Tallboy.
And I have a bottle of spaghetti.
Peroni. That's spelled different.
Oh.
Yeah,
I have
it's
a
easy to
bottle
make.
of Peroni.
Yeah, Gorlami.
I also found out that spaghetti is a totally reasonable vanity plate. You can spell that, like, on a Minnesota vanity plate. S-P-A-G-E-T-I.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, you can't fit the actual word on
Yeah,
there. What are you
but I was
talking
thinking about
about?
getting that for vanity plate for the Fiat.
That'd be pretty good.
Really good one.
Yeah, I wish that they still had the website for checking plates.
Yeah.
Because they went from Minlars, and now I forget the name of the new one that they spent $20 million fixing. No, it's like it's Min something.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter for the sake of this.
Min Reg or something.
Something.
Yeah.
But I will say, I had to get a replacement title last
Did you do
week.
it online?
No, I
Oh.
went to the Circle Pines DMV, which is the only one in the cities you don't need a reservation for, and they printed me a title there.
Really?
So the
Oh,
new
that's
system, you don't wait for titles anymore. They
That's
just
awesome.
give you one, which was sweet, because I got this guy off my back finally, after he lost the original title for the car. But anyway, that's all done with. And that reminds me of a topic that I didn't put in this week's episode, but I should talk about an E46.
We'll talk about that after.
Before we get into this, it is still Black History Month as far as
Yes,
I'm concerned,
it
so
is.
I wanted to talk about Willy T Ribbs.
Yes.
The man that nobody's heard of and was arguably the best race driver in all of history.
Yes, actually, he's wearing a hat in the picture. It says Uppity. That's a documentary done by Adam Carolla, which Adam Carolla is great at doing car documentaries.
It's
like
on
that's his calling.
Netflix. Go watch it.
Yes, and that is really good, and it really, really will piss you off a lot about not just NASCAR, but IndyCar and like just structural racism in America in the 80s and 90s.
I was going to say, especially if you're like our age and you went through the same education system at the same time we did,
Yeah.
you don't know the half of it, and you never will. But, I mean, stuff like this, you really hear it from a perspective of, especially starting off in Britain like he did,
Yeah.
and commenting how, like, in Britain it didn't matter what color I was.
Yeah.
I was a racer. We were all equal. Then he starts off his career in America, and he keeps putting in... He keeps getting put in the trash cars that like are designed to fail with all the old parts, and he still wins races, and then just constantly getting kicked down and overlooked by sponsors, but then gets picked up by Red Roof Inn of all people.
Yeah.
Gets great luck with that until the owner of that company dies. So again, go watch Uppity. But Willy T Ribbs is a guy that is, he was alive up until very recently too.
Yes.
But just a really, really, really wholesome dude.
I think he's kind of like an American Ayrton Senna almost, where like his racing record does not match the quality of talent that he had.
Correct.
Whereas like Ayrton Senna, everybody says he's the greatest driver ever, and then you look at his stats, he's like he won 1 championship ever. But
And he started off from a wealthy family in karts.
Exactly, but then like you actually watch him race, and you go, that is pure talent.
Yes.
Like this guy just he died early. And then with Willy T Ribbs, it's not he died early. It's just that he had pure talent, and he had like all of America's structural racism against him. So yeah, Willy T Ribbs. I almost made him our first person that we talked about, but I really wanted to talk about Busy, and I really wanted to talk about Big Willie. But yeah,
This
Willy
is the
T
only
Ribbs
one
is-
I added because I'm glad you overlooked him because I wanted to put him in there.
Yeah, I was gonna put him. Actually, I was gonna put him as this week if you didn't. So that's perfect. Yeah.
But yes, go watch Uppity. If you don't have a Netflix account, bum a password from somebody. It's really good.
So speaking of NASCAR, I want to continue talking about it because I want to talk about NASCAR Truck Series because not only do they have a female driver, they also have an Arab American driver now.
Nice.
That's
I
all
showed
the same
this to
person.
you.
Yes, actually, Gianna showed it to me by tagging me in a status from my friend Shalise. And she's like the Padma Lakshmi of racing.
I was gonna say.
So she's actually got like a super white name. I'm not sure the background, but whatever. I mean, she's Arab American, which is really tight. And yeah, so she's doing NASCAR Truck Series. She's been racing ARCA previously. So this will be the first like actual stock car series in Camping World Truck Series that she's been in. So I'm really excited to see what she's gonna do. She's been getting pretty well known in ARCA, so that's tight. And if you're not familiar with American oval track racing, ARCA's like that's like the Formula like 3 or whatever. Like
So that's the minor leagues before
yeah,
you get
it's
groomed.
like the Formula Ford of like
I
F1.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like that's the like next step is going to actual NASCAR. So I'm really excited. That's really dope. Her name's Tony Breedinger, which I think I'm saying that right. I hope.
know.
But yeah, so she's racing for Young's Motorsports, and actually I think that this race has already happened, so you might be able to see how she did.
I
That's
love
cool.
that this is from People magazine, not like
Yeah.
an automotive magazine.
Yeah, it's from a normal magazine.
I clicked on this because I was seeing what article I had pinned for the Willy T Ribbs thing, and then I saw that this was your story, and it was not this, and I'm just like, People. That
Hey,
is,
can
I
you-
think that
can you
might be
scroll
the
down
first
for 1
time
second? I
we've
just wanna
had.
see what the name of the race was.
First
It
time
was-
we've
that
had a
was
link from
the-
People Magazine on
Yeah.
here for a story.
I think so too. Lucas Oil.
200.
Oh my God. LUCAS Oil 200. 2021.
Not Luca Soil, but
Yeah,
Lucas
it's literally
Oil.
what LOUCAI. Like what? I tried to spell both words at the same time. I'm just looking up on my very fast computer here how she did in the race. But
I
no,
actually saw a post, I don't remember if it was from this outlet, but the Shift Up Now Racing Series team that has a lot of good friends of mine on it, they're all female, and they always share links about all this kind of stuff coming up, so it's always cool. But, I mean, it's been a pretty well-known fact in drag racing for like 30 years that women are way better drivers than men are as far as like reaction time, and especially just like they tend to weigh less too,
Yeah.
so you get better power to weight ratio.
yeah,
And-
it doesn't make sense not to have female race car drivers.
No, women are pretty much better at everything, so just
Yeah,
start
they're
doing
more
more of this.
observant, like scientifically.
Let's see here. So, entry list. So she was actually in second place. Entry. Where did she finish? at?
Well, you can look that up while I go to the
I
next
think
story.
she
guess.
actually got second place.
Well, that's
in
pretty
that
good.
overall.
Was that her first
That was her
major
first.
race?
That was her first. Oh, that was in the ARCA race. So what the hell?
Alright,
So she was in second place in the ARCA race. So I'm gonna look up what she did in the Camping World Truck while you.
You do
talk
that
to
while I
me
talk about
this
a
other
really,
thing.
really terrible vehicle. So, 2008 heralded us the brand new V8 M3, and alongside that, it had the retaliatory RS4 and the C63 AMG. Back in that era, this was a 6.2-liter V8, the M156. Great engine, even if it had head bolt issues.
I would
That
still,
is-
I would say that was one of the last like true muscle cars.
Yeah,
Like
because
that-
it's NA. Yeah,
Wasn't just like the big hairy V8 and the tiny little car. Like
right. But then you get to what I'm getting to, the twin turbo V8 C63s of late, which are arguably way more of a muscle car because you can just like throw some Jegs, German Jegs catalogs, whatever those are, probably a TÜV catalog. Throw one of
yes.
those and you get like 800 brake out of them, and they still somehow manage to sound good. The twin turbo V8s. So we went from the 204, which is probably my favorite looking C-Class generation with that big meaty 6.2 engine. If you get like a 2010 or newer, they're really solid too. Then you go to the 205, which heralded the 4-liter twin turbo.
Yeah.
Still a great engine. However, I never really liked the look of that car. It always
It-
just kind of looked melty. I'm sure it'll age well,
It's-
but it's eh.
It reminded me. What were those like late '90s, early 2000s C series where they had the too small taillight?
W203.
I think that's it. Well, no, the 203.
That was the bubbly one.
Yeah, but the 203 had the big. That was like the. That
was like the mini S-Class
That was
type.
the C36 AMG, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, what's the generation after that?
204. That's the angular nice one that the C63 came out with.
Maybe it's an E class I'm thinking of. But
That
there's
could be.
that one from the early 2000s where the taillights were too small on the rear end.
I mean, yeah, that would either be a W210 or a W211. 211 started in like 2002.
Maybe the 210 then. Yeah.
Okay.
That just bothered me so
Okay.
much.
Yeah, you need big wheels on a 210, but that was the first gen of like the E55, which is kind of a cool car. Anyway, the reason why I bring this up is even though the 205 wasn't a visually appealing car for me, it was still very fast, still had that V8 muscle car allure, and it still weighed less than 4,000 pounds. Now, though, Mercedes has announced the new one.
So actually, here I just got to the results
sure.
here.
Yep.
So the race that happened earlier this month was actually Tony Breedinger's, her ARCA race where she got second place, and that actually her finish in that did set her up for Camping World Truck Series. So she is going to go into NASCAR now.
Hell yeah.
So that's tight.
Okay.
So she's gonna be starting later this season, doing a half season for NASCAR, and then probably 2022.
I will watch all of her press conferences on mute.
I might almost watch a race, maybe, possibly, maybe.
They're a good time to actually go to if you're infield, but I still don't think I would ever do it.
Big maybe on watching it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we're glad that she's in there.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for bringing, hopefully, some
That is
realization to the bigots.
First time that I've said big maybe regarding Camping World Truck Series. So, adding more female Arab race car drivers makes me more likely to say big maybe as opposed to absolutely not. So, there you go.
I'm going to count that as high praise from you.
That's very
so.
high praise for me, yes. Anyway.
So anyway, moving on from the 205, the twin-turbo muscle car C63 AMG. It kept the same formula. Now we are getting 206 spy shots, and unfortunately, the car now weighs over 4,000 pounds.
That's a hefty pig.
It has a 4-cylinder engine in it now.
It's 6.3 liters. Good
no,
God.
not right. That's like a.
I like
It's
that.
like a 4BT. No, it is a.
I want
it's a
that.
2-liter, I believe, either 2 or 2.1.
So why don't they call it the C21?
Because it's heritage. So it's there's the M139 turbo engine, so it's a very massaged version of what's in the GLA, essentially, and stuff like that. But I mean, it has some cool tech, like it finally has 48-volt electrical and all this other stuff, and maybe we'll get an estate, but who cares? It's a 4-cylinder. It was 4,400 pounds. I'm like, yeah, I know you're making 500 horse with it, but
I don't trust that at all.
no. And then they're warrantying it somehow. So
I don't trust this.
rod bearings are not going to last.
This isn't something I'd ever want to drive.
No, and like the styling arguably I think looks okay. I mean, they have one rendered rear shot, which of course is broken because I found the worst pictures on the internet always.
Not much of a fan of this car.
No, and like it's not going to sound good. The whole
So-
point of the C63 is to get that just ridiculous raucous.
Yeah, it sounds like a muscle car. Like that's how you buy it.
It sounds like a good version of a
That's
Camaro.
literally why you buy that over an M3.
Yeah.
Because the M3 sounds like an M3. Like it sounds smart, but like this
Yeah.
is supposed to sound stupid and
Yeah.
hairy. And
It's supposed to
this
sound
is
like you're
not.
about to lose control, or in the middle of losing control, or have lost control.
It looks like it's supposed to sound like the sort of car where in its promotional videos it's losing control in the middle of the ad.
Varied engine speed and V8 pops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about something that was actually a good car, but didn't sell well.
Oh, okay.
I want to talk about Toyota's first post-war car, because Japanese Nostalgia Car did an article about it, and it reminded me of this car, and it's like if you ever play campaign mode in automation, it's the sort of car you make for your first car, and then you're really surprised when your company just completely tanks. Because it's like, what the hell? Like, this should do well. Like, all the customer satisfaction things are off the charts. Like, why didn't this sell well? Because Toyota in this, it's really cool because it has independent suspension. Yeah, it's really cool. It's got a single mesh transmission. It's got suicide doors. It's got seating for 4. It's really, really cool. And yeah, so it's a great car. It's got a beautiful inside.
Yeah, for being designed in 1947, that's pretty impressive.
Also, the Toyota logo on the steering wheel is absolutely like English, because it's totally somebody like from Japan that sees how American things are designed, or like how American words are written, but they wrote it as you would write a Japanese word, where you take the 3 different characters.
Typo-y.
So it says
Typo-y.
tip deli doi. That's what it says. Yeah, it says TYPOOET.
EI.
I
Oh,
get
T,
that
yeah.
tattooed.
Yes.
Typo-y.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Typo-y.
But so it's got a backbone chassis like a Beetle, as opposed to a ladder frame,
Okay.
which later went to the 2000 GT. The frame splits into the firewall, just like a Beetle, basically. So they basically took the interior of a Beetle, Put a front-mounted water-cooled 1 liter inline four. Again, at this time, most things were air-cooled and two-stroke. It only made 27 horsepower, and it was manual only, which is cool. It was a 3 on the tree.
Roads didn't exist.
Yes.
So
and
that
it
doesn't
was
matter.
Also, 2,580 pounds.
Wow, that's actually surprisingly heavy.
Yeah, it's really, really, really heavy. 4-wheel independent suspension, hydraulic brakes, which is wild for like 1948.
Actually, that's not that crazy.
Well,
Hydraulic brakes started to get pretty common in the late 30s, but
Yeah, but
post-war it was like a mandatory
Also,
thing.
that was not a common thing on people's cars. Just think about that. Like, the Beetle had a Boeing, like a Fiat 500 didn't originally. I don't think it originally did.
Pretty much every production car, late 30s and after, has hydraulic brakes.
But, I mean, like, hydraulic brakes on, like, such a cheap car, especially in Japan.
No, I
where,
mean, it's
like,
impressive, but
yeah,
I'm much
that's
more blown
super-
away by the independent suspension.
I'm blown away by everything on this. But yeah, so it didn't. It had an integrated grille design as opposed to an upright radiator. It was really, really cool. It also had a single overhead wiper for one windshield wiper. So it was really cool. All these interesting little things. One small issue: nobody could really afford it.
Oh no.
Was
yeah.
it super expensive?
Yeah, kinda. Also, yeah.
Steering wheel.
T-
Type
baby deal. Yeah, that's exactly what it says. It's
Oh,
the
shoot.
middle. But no, it's one of those things where it was an absolute flop. Most people couldn't afford it. And they tried selling it as a taxi, and like taxi cab companies just couldn't even afford it. So, and plus, it had 2 doors. It's just like the worst cab in the world.
It's heavy, complicated, expensive, and has 2 doors.
Somehow, Toyota didn't go under for making this.
So this
They
is
got
the
very
Aventime.
lucky. Yes, this is the Aventime. They started with the Aventime, and it's a really cool car. I love it. The Toyota SA, I think, is one of the coolest like people's cars of the 50s, even though it was terrible in every way. But it's one of those things where it's like when you make a car in automation, you're like, of course I'm gonna use independent suspension for like undeveloped roads. Like that would make sense.
Yeah, it's gonna give you a way better ride quality. Who wouldn't want
Yeah,
that?
and then you don't think about the fact, oh shit, I just doubled the weight of the vehicle. Like there's a
And
reason.
also very expensive.
Yeah, this is very expensive and extremely heavy. No wonder nobody does this.
Well, Toyota, congratulations on being ahead of the time. Merging from people's cars of Japan to people's cars of America,
Of childhood.
the Cozy Coupe
Yes.
Yes.
finally got defuculated.
I
They've-
still have my early 90s one.
Good, because that's the perfect generation, but they finally took the eyeballs off the dash
Gosh, so bad.
and turned them into the eyeballs on the headlights.
Yeah, their headlights
And they also
again.
massaged the A-pillar, put bigger rims on it, because baller, and just generally made it better. And I'm glad that this actually garnered enough attention where Jalopnik, Torchinsky wrote this, of course.
Perfect, of course.
But just, he is so ass mad if you read through this. He's
Well,
just,
have you seen the what they did
Oh,
before?
yeah.
It was
I
so
mean,
bad.
if you're on our video version, look at the one on the right. That is what was... Also, the caption's really
New,
good.
lash it, hot fucking garbage.
Yep. So, I mean, the new one is significantly
Imagine-
closer.
It's terrifying.
Imagine growing up in childhood when that's like your one choice. Gross. Every kid is gonna have depression because of that car.
I had no idea that the eyeballs on the dashboard one had been around for over 10 years.
Oh my god.
I thought it was only
That's
a few
the entire,
years.
It's entire generation.
I know. Hold on.
of
Let me scroll down.
children's-
They've got the whole generation here. And they've only had four iterations since it came out in 1979. Or 5, sorry. But look, like this came out in, I think it was like 2004 or something
Yeah.
like that. It was nuts. But yeah, I grew up in the middle one.
Yeah, I had the middle
Or
one.
maybe-
I
I
had
think
that
Yeah, I
one.
think I had that one. Oh, you know what? No, I got that one right there. Where they did the facelifted front end on the old one.
Oh, I think
That's
you're right.
the one I had, yeah.
Whatever Wise Guys and Kids Club had, that was me. So maybe it was that.
I literally had that IRL. and it was my own.
See,
No, actually I had that one because I remember I had the black pillars.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
an old boy.
I think I had the one with yellow pillow. So I got a lot of hand-me-downs. So,
Sure. No, it makes sense. It was probably this
but
then.
yeah, I probably had that one. But I know that I got a new one, and I got the off-brand Cozy Coupes
Oh,
too,
no.
which were fun because they had more like nifty features. Like they had like an actual trunk.
I don't remember that. And actually, sorry.
Yeah, it wasn't a
I
Cozy
definitely had
Coupe,
this one
but
because
it was
the
like
steering is not something I
a
remember.
similar thing, and it had like an actual trunk and like an actual seat. It was really cool.
So anyway, all the murderers in society came
Yeah.
up during this generation right here. in
Yes.
this eyeball cozy coupe. So
And they got the Donk coupe.
yeah,
It looks like
this
a
is-
donk.
It does. It's a bubble. This
Yeah,
is
it's a bubble.
This is a B-body Caprice right
Yeah,
here.
that is a bubble caprice. I'm pretty happy. So I always wanted to get one. I always wanted to like give it actual steering, so I could put
Yeah.
like a little like Predator like Harbor Freight engine in the back.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wanted to put like a treadmill motor in mine. In fact, I like saved our old treadmill and tore it apart just to try to like save the motor.
You had to figure out what to do with
But I
this
didn't-
front steering.
I didn't know enough at the time. But anyway, I'm very happy about
You could
this.
actually, you could probably weld a rod in between those and use a tiller steering.
Oh, you definitely could. But we've learned from Flugtag that tiller steering can have no adverse effects on anything.
That's true. So yeah, you can do tiller steering. You remove the steering wheel, put a little tiller. You could basically make a Victorian car with it. This would be great. It's basically just a Mercedes patented motor wagon at this point.
I think people should mod cozy coupes.
Also, they added a spoiler.
They did. They added a roof spoiler. Mhm.
That's quite
So I
good.
mean, this thing is sporty.
I'm a fan.
Sorry, no, this is an Impala SS.
Yeah, that's what this is. This is
Yep.
the SS. It's
Not
just
not even a Caprice.
not the normal one. It's the better one. So speaking of modding cars, I want to talk about the Battle of the Cringe here, and I think we should start doing this as an actual like segment from time to time, where we take two styles of cars that we both like mutually hate, and you have to choose which one you would have. The rule is you have to pick one as is with no modifications, and they will be automatic, and neither is not an option.
Oh
So
man,
your choice can
this is
be,
like bypassing Carbitrage.
it is like the worst thing in the world. So that's why I like talking like what if you had to choose the worst things, what would you choose? Would you choose a ZZ Top Eliminator like Boyd Coddington fiberglassed over hot rod or street rod? I just called it a ZZ Top Eliminator street rod. Or the next one, which is
You have two links.
yes, I have two links. If you go down, there's another one here, which is the Pro Mod muscle car, which is the Camaro with like where they try to modernize it, but really it's still just a Camaro. It's gonna have an automatic transmission. It's gonna have some ugly wheels. The interior is gonna suck. And it's gonna have a V8, and more importantly, everybody that listens to modern Metallica will talk at you about how cool your car is. So would you rather have?
I take the one where the non-Metallica fans.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Boyd Coddington car.
Oh, I'm definitely taking the Pro Mod Camaro because some of those are actually really fast, and a lot of them have T56s. But I know you said it's going to be an
It's going to be
automatic.
automatic.
I'm fine if it's a turbo 350,
And
but
you're also gonna get talked at by people you hate.
I can already avoid that. I'm really good at avoiding that.
This one, you're gonna get talked up by some old boomers, which will not even boomers. It's like old, like the really old boomers.
These are the greatest
wait.
generation.
the pre-war boomers. Like
Yeah.
not quite greatest generation, but they're the ones like the dad like pumped out a kid right
Both
before he
are
shipped
gonna
off.
like
Oh.
Yeah, those ones.
sexually harass me.
Yeah, you're gonna get sexually harassed either way, but I think the people that would sexually harass you over this one are gonna die sooner.
Oh yeah. Oh,
But,
100%.
like,
So
they're far more creepy and more willing to touch me. I don't know.
Oof.
yeah, but that's the thing is like the, their sexual harassment's so like in your face that somebody else will intervene. Whereas
No.
like
The kind of people that
no.
will talk to you about this car at a gas pump are the people that openly say the N-word.
Yeah,
like the extremely
the thing
old
is-
and just incorrect. Yes.
The thing is, when the old people sexually harass you, they go, "Oh, they're just old," and nobody intervenes because they're like, they're gonna croak.
And-
but if somebody sees somebody in a Metallica shirt talking to me, they're gonna be like, "Oh shit."
No, they're
Call
probably
the
gonna be like,
police.
oh, it's like her boyfriend or something.
No, because
So-
I don't look like I listen to Metallica. Like
no,
I
you don't. But I mean, like,
But I look like I could be somebody's granddaughter.
even then.
God, this
But,
is such a home improvement
I
car.
don't
Yeah, I know. I think I would go with the home improvement car.
dun.
Yeah, it is, that's exactly what it is. It's a home improvement car.
Can I tap out of
No,
this?
no, you have to
Yes.
choose one or the other.
I
That's like
guess-
that's the worst. That's the worst
Okay,
part.
so I'm gonna take the Camaro and I'm gonna drive it off the San Francisco Bridge.
That's fair. That is fair.
I mean, you're turning it into neither, but you're also ending your life while doing it. So I guess that bypasses the rules.
it does technically bypass the rules. So you end it all. I would go with the.
Good God.
I would have to go with the street rod, solely because there's a higher likelihood. No, there's not gonna be a flathead. Guaranteed to be LT1 swap. 100%
Best
chance of
case.
that. Yeah, no, it will be a LT1.
You're right. Actually, yeah, it's gonna be.
It's good.
Oh, sorry. It's gonna be a TPI.
No, it's gonna be the Crossfire. It's gonna be the really, really bad. Like they just took with shitty wiring and everything. Like they literally just took a C4 Corvette engine and just stuck it into.
Not even just the engine. You know this has C4 running gear.
Oh, it's gonna be all C4 stuff because you didn't have any aftermarket support for the C4 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's gonna have like power seats from a Thunderbird.
Oh yeah.
And it's gonna have like a dashboard out of like a Suburban.
Oh.
And like a center console from an Accord. Like it's just not. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be really bad. It's all gonna be covered in tweed. I will totally take that over this one, over the muscle car, just because the muscle car is even more egregious to me. Because while yes, you are technically improving it.
Well, all you're
It's
doing
like-
with
it's
a pro
like
touring car is making
Pro
it
mod.
drive.
Pro mod.
Well, this looks like a pro touring to me.
It's Pro mod is what I was looking for.
Whatever,
I
that's
typed in
fine.
Pro mod Camaro.
They
and that's
look
what came up.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I mean, this probably has independent front rear suspension. Yeah. All you're doing is making
Which
an
isn't.
old, terrible American car almost as good as a bone stock like Japanese or German car.
And that's the thing is like you're trying to. Both these cars, you're doing something that the car's not supposed to be.
Correct.
And what this, like,
This is like
reminds
LS
me of-
swapping a Miata.
Not even that.
You just made it
this
into
is like
what it-
a wide body and like 22-inch wheels on a Ferrari F40.
Oh, so it's like Liberty Walk
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that egregious.
or
and gross.
RWB.
Yeah, it's
It has no functional purpose.
yeah. It is okay. Technically, on paper, the RWB Porsche has more power because you stuck some bolt-ons on it.
Some do.
Technically, it's got wider tires, but like you're also like you've got these like super wide tires like way too stiff of springs.
You
and
also-
now like you can't handle. Like,
Unironically wear Louis Vuitton socks.
exactly, and like that, it's the same level of douche that you're getting with the Pro Mod.
I would
Camaro.
pick the Pro Mod.
I'm gonna go with the Street Rod. Dear listener, what would you do? Become a patron and tell us on our Discord.
Oh God. I'm gonna go like wash myself with bar soap.
It's really
Do you have
gross.
bleach somewhere?
I think I
so
do. The toilet
gross.
cleaner, one of them has bleach in it.
Good.
Both of these cars are just the worst things in the world. Another thing, actually, Street Rod you can drive in winter because it's mostly fiberglass, so it can be a winter
That-
car,
True. However, the pockets that weren't engineered will be right next to the frame.
which is fine.
So in a winter, it will detach the body from the frame. Actually, that might be good because
Yeah.
then all the nasty body with the Accord console
now
will be
got,
gone.
Now you got a great frame.
Now you got a butchered C4,
Yeah, now you got a butchered C4. That
and you can make a vet card.
Yeah, there you go, done. So actually, there you go. Street
Your
Rod.
answer might be better. So winter drive, the ZZ Top,
Yeah,
whatever you
exactly.
called it,
The Eliminator car.
and then your problem will go away
Wait,
more fastly.
I called it the Eliminator car because that style like became popular when ZZ Top was like big, like in the 80s and 90s, and
Yeah.
they had one of those cars on their album Eliminator. And
Okay.
like that style is just like, you know, the ZZ Top Eliminator car. And people that like are into hot rods go, oh god, that, yeah.
When you say the word Boyd Coddington, you immediately get the aesthetic.
You know what,
But that
you-
was also it was like Boyd Coddington combined with that like 57C5 kit that you could buy that like
Oh god, yeah.
yeah.
Like Chip Foose, Boyd Kites, and all that garbage from the
Ooh.
90s.
If you
Disgusting.
turn the smoothing filter on Photoshop all the way up on like a Tri-5, and then you like stretch it over the hard points of a 2000s car, that's what you're
And
getting.
they still put like a big gaudy like plastic like trim around the windshield because it's the 90s and like you think you need that.
But you don't change the windshield or the rake, because
it's
no, that
awful.
would make it more proper. So anyway, on to some less disgusting modern news. I try to, I guess, avoid politics a little bit on this show, but I will make no qualms about the fact that I'm very excited that the first appointee to head the, I think, Department of Energy, is an actual person with credentials that
that's
amazing.
has worked in the industry before.
Oh, good.
It's very, very strange. Also a woman, which I personally like.
That she's a woman or that you don't like her as a person?
I don't know who she is as a person, but
But you're just happy that
women
they put-
are
yeah.
more stable.
Yeah. They're better in the workplace.
They are better in the workplace, so I'm much happier about that. But anyway, she was the former Michigan governor, and
Oh,
That's okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
it's
not
gonna
the
be
one
great.
that got kidnapped.
No, not to my knowledge, anyway. Maybe she has
what's
been.
her name? Granny Holm or Granholm? Jennifer Granholm.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
I saw.
Yep.
You scrolled past her name.
That's
so
fine.
I saw it.
But anyway, a lot of new bills and legislation are being introduced, not necessarily just by her, but this is a good sign for anyone that's really all in on renewables or enjoys a nice healthy dose of fast EV.
I like fast EV more than anything.
And like
Yeah.
the last 4+ years, all we've had is like the head of education is this person who can't fit a square hole in a round peg thing or
Yeah,
something.
it's
And
just-
like it's just been like, what? It's
some
just
people that are-
refreshing to see somebody
yeah.
with actual credentials and background be put into a position where we might actually benefit. Because, like it or not, climate change is still a big thing. And
No,
although we're
I
making
feel like Texas really made
progress-
that.
Well,
clear.
not only that, like, it's just good to progress. Because, like, even if you don't
Yes.
believe, like, that it exists, the vast majority of the world does.
is already
and
doing it.
It's, like, it's economically, like, viable.
If
like,
we
it's-
lag, it costs us more money. So yeah, we're just like getting up to snuff again.
Yeah, like,
And it gets cheaper
you-
for everyone.
You don't want to be Austria in World War One.
No.
You don't want to be stuck in the 1800s while everyone else is in the 1900s. Like, that's what we're like trying to avoid here.
Good God. Just having like flashbacks of Siberia.
Stop bringing your horses to war. Like, move on with technology.
No, because they weren't the only ones with horses.
Well, yeah, but they are the ones that didn't adopt a tank, and they're the ones that lost World War One. So
Because there's horses in there.
Austria never had a tank. Germany did, but not Austria. Anyway,
Super tangential story. I was up visiting a friend, and we were walking through some hangars up in Blaine. And he walks me over, and we get to a corner. There's a giant blue V8 over twin overhead cam engine sitting on a pallet. I'm like,
huh,
and he's like, what do you think this is? I'm like,
V8.
huh. No, it's a giant V8. Giant.
I don't imagine it'd be up a Sherman then.
As it turns out, it was the original designed engine, which is a
Oh,
1,000
rad.
cube dual overhead cam, all aluminum Ford
It's like
V8.
I think they went with like a.
They went with the Detroit engine.
Yeah, they went with a V16, I think, or something like ridiculous.
I think it was a 12 V71, but I'm not sure. It might have been a 16
it was
V71.
like a crazy like number of cylinders. Yeah.
Yeah, the Detroit ended up winning out, but like this was the original designed engine
That's rad.
for that.
That's super duper
And like
cool.
there was just one sitting there, and it looks modern. Like the dual overhead cam valve covers were all like cast magnesium alloy block. It had an SAE DIN bell housing on it. I'm like, dude, you could put this in any truck. It would be super cool.
or a hot rod.
It's
More
a
importantly.
very big
It'd
engine.
It'd be much better in a hot rod.
They said they fired it up on a stand like a couple of years ago, and it still like popped right off.
The fact that it's not in a steel body like Model A is just bothering me.
It would be on it.
Yeah,
I don't think it would necessarily fit, but like, boy, that was
it
cool.
would sorta
And-
fit. That's why I said a steel body because you're gonna do a lot of cutting. It's gonna be.
I don't
see
know
hacked
what
up.
it weighed. I mean, it's alloy, but that thing must still weigh
Yeah, but
a
1,000
ton.
cubic inches is 1,000 cubic inches.
Yeah.
There's no way that 16 liters is going to be light. Like, that's
Actually-
just impossible.
Yeah, that's about right. Maybe even 17 liters. But it's so cool.
Yeah.
So I really dug that. And after your next story, I'll talk about my
Speaking
experience this week.
Of ridiculous displacements, Donut Media did a video on like all the different engine designs, and they're actually like they've been really accurate.
Okay.
And like they just said something that was off the cuff, where they said like 4-cylinders can only get to a certain size before they're not viable. And it's like that's how you don't see giant 4-cylinders
Maybe
like
for mainstream use.
past 3 liters. And I said, ha ha ha, laughs in Fiat S76.
Let me bring in my boy, Duncan,
Yeah, exactly.
who daily drives this
Like,
28-liter
the-
dirigible
The
engine.
biggest engine ever fitted in a car by a car manufacturer is a 4-cylinder. So a while back we talked about hilarious tuning company names.
I remember.
Yes,
In
and
fact,
I-
we may have done it several times.
Yeah, I've come across a new one to add to our list.
Okay.
I had a car at work that had one of these exhausts on it, and the brand name is Car Make Corns. They make exhausts from Yes. They're actually really, really pretty exhausts. Like I would totally rock a Corns exhaust. Like they look great.
That makes you. Oh God, their product photos are like YouTube product clips.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
a nice titanium
It's a
ring, too.
really, really beautiful exhaust. Not gonna lie, like I'd totally rock the shit out of that.
It does look very well produced.
Yeah, they're super nice.
It doesn't look like Tig over Mig.
No, and I think they're kind of expensive, but not that bad. I think it's like $700. Oh, 800. Yeah,
$850.
it's like that's
But it's a section 2 and 3, so
and it's also a very nice exhaust made with by a unique company, and it isn't just like a fart can in one style clone. It's its own thing. Like
Car make corn 'S.
Yeah,
version 3.
Yeah, it's the third version.
I want
of
to see the
Car Make
first
Corns.
2 versions of the corn.
So I was looking at Rev 9 Autosport at their exhaust, and like most of their exhaust brands have hilarious names. So if you actually want to go back up,
So Rev 9 is the parent
so,
company.
yeah, just go to like NA. Well, no, this is just the website that's selling NA. Just go to NA because NC's gonna have new stuff, and then go to exhausts, and then so they got
Auto
EXE,
EXE,
which
Auto
is-
Exec.
yeah, and then they've
That's
got Car
awesome.
Make Corns. They got
Car
a
make
lot-
corns 2.
They've got Fujitsubo, Integral, Kobe.
Oh, they
which
make
is-
the Fujitsubo exhaust? Nice.
Yeah. So, well, they don't make it; they sell it.
Okay.
Juby Ride, Jets Beat Sound, Maxim Works. These are great names. I love Jets.
Somebody that got
Jets
fired
beat
from a
sounds.
Japanese car manufacturer in the 1980s works for these guys now.
Exactly.
They
Jet-
keep him on the payroll just to humor him, but all his job is to main this pit crew racing.
So, Jets Beat Sound is also really good. Tuckin'
Sard.
99. Like,
Hitman.
Sard.
Tuckin' 99 Hitman.
And then RS Factory is like the most normal one. But Car
Wow.
Make Corns and Jets Beat Sound, right? 2 of the best names for exhaust I've ever heard. So yeah.
It does kind of make me want to put corns parts on my
Yeah,
car.
like like, if I was gonna make a car company, it would have to have a stupid name. Like,
Oh, it would.
I would not be able to name it like RS Tuning or like Modern Performance Works or something like that. Like it would have to have a dumb name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like corn fed dumps or something. Like it's just
Or
a
like-
dumb name like that.
Like integrate foie gras on there or something.
yeah,
It's yeah, we do nothing but force-fed products, so it's foie gras motors.
yeah, like
Like, what? And we do E85. We're force-feeding corn into it. I inadvertently made a good car modding company name. There you go.
there you go. Yeah.
Feel free to take that and run with it. That was the last official topic, but I want to circle back to the early part of this last
Yes.
week we had.
Because you had quite the event.
I have had a hell of a week.
A normal Eric Berger week. where-
This is even a bit much for me. So my house is currently in the process of being remodeled, which is fine, but it means that when I get home, I have one chair in my house that I can sit in, which is my office chair, which is fine. But I don't like spending that much time in there. So I end up going to bed super early, neither here nor there. I got home on Monday. Fine. Pet the cats, look at the progress. Cora gets home about 40 minutes later. He's like, walks in the door. Where's the silver car? I'm like, what do you mean? It's in the street. I'm like, well, I didn't see it when I came in. I'm like, look out the kitchen window where it was parked. That's weird. Walk over to the front of the house, look out. Nothing.
So with
So
the
then
silver car being
That was the Unicorn
Unicorn, you're-
version 6.0. So my
you're-
silver cheapo 2002
of
BMW
all the cars
325xi.
you own, by far the worst.
The rusty thing with giant graphics all over it that has already been posted on social media a zillion times. Pull out my phone, look at my camera app because I have, a DVR and cameras in my house. I scroll back until a point where I see it is there. And then I find this happy medium, dump some footage onto my camera roll. Sure enough, a guy in a red poofy coat comes waddling right down the street, does like
No, down your driveway.
no, down the sidewalk and
Oh.
walks into the street and then looks in the driver's front window, circles around, looks in the passenger front window, checks out the back seat 2 or 3 times, then checks the driver front door, which in this car is unlocked all the time because it has a bad lock cylinder and the keyless doesn't work.
Okay.
But it's in E46. I keep all the other doors locked. I don't keep anything valuable
Nobody
in
steals
it.
them.
And the EWS system, the immobilizer, I can't make those work when I have the keys to the car after a swap. So I'm like, it's unstealable.
Yeah.
Anyway, this guy spends about 3 minutes rooting through every interior crevice of the car, which I can see on the camera, and then he aggressively closes the door, and the car starts moving and drives away. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
How?
And
What
that
did he
was my
do?
question. I'm like, I want to know how this is possible because these cars are unstealable.
And when you look at the video, it seems rather seamless.
I
it's
know.
Just all
And
of a
like
sudden,
in 3 minutes,
like-
you can't like get the VIN, drive to BMW, come back
No,
with a
and
spare
I should
key.
I should pull up a key for a visual.
Yeah, you can't just like shave down a
No,
key like on a Honda.
these are milled. I mean,
Yeah, they're laser cut
They're
keys.
laser cut in the center, and like you have to order these with proof of ownership, a title from a dealership.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is the only way to start these, as far as I know. Anyway, I call it into the police, give them a description, give them photos, give them a video of it being stolen, The car gets picked up about 7 hours later with stolen license plates screwed onto it.
Okay.
But all of the stickers are still intact.
1 second. Did they screw the license plates into the normal holes, or did they make new holes on your car?
They made some new holes.
Wonderful.
So the front
Perfect.
plate, which was between the dash and the windshield, was on the left front corner of the bumper, screwed in with a bolt, and then duct taped on the front. And then the rear one was actually bolted through the hole where the license plate bracket was originally screwed. So they didn't make a new hole, but the bracket was just molested and gone. But anyway, they had stolen plates on it mounted that way, which I'm sure that looked normal. But the guy apparently had a felony level of controlled substance on him anyway, and he got another felony for stealing my car. But I got a phone call at 3 in the morning on Tuesday, full volume on my work phone, because apparently that's who I called the police from, blocked caller ID, and I originally snoozed it. I'm like, I'm not talking to whoever this is. And then I look, I'm like, I should probably answer this. Pick it up, it's a dispatch, and they're like, we recovered your vehicle. I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, it's at impound, here's the address, here's the phone number, here's the vehicle crimes division. They open at 8, feel free to call them. Fine, go back to bed. Yeah, I was sleeping, whatever. Go to work like normal, wait for shit to open. I call the impound number again. Right after they called me, I called the impound to try to get it, because they said they were 24 hours, but they don't open till 8. Turns out they gave me the wrong number, so I was calling some other guy in the police department who eventually called me back and gave me the correct number.
How kind.
I had a coworker bring me to the impound. After confirming on the phone what the fee was, the fact that they would take a credit card for it, then they mentioned they had a key and the car. I asked them if it still had wheels, and they said yes. I'm like, okay, fine. Well, at least I can drive it home. I get there about a half hour early because I'm retarded. Walk in, go upstairs, pay them the $195 to get my car back. They hand me an entire key ring, which has like a Toyota Sienna key on it, a house key, and a valet key for a BMW, which is not brand new. Like, I have bought these brand new. I know what they look like. This thing was in the car somewhere. So I emailed the previous owner, which I'm on good terms with, good guy, Motorworks Tech. It's like, I wasn't aware of any key that I didn't give you on a ring with the car. I'm like, okay, I wasn't aware either, but maybe there was something this guy was digging pretty hard. Get out till row 4. It's parked behind this giant turd of a vehicle, so I'm like seeing it reveal from the left front corner on. I'm like, okay, all the stickers are still on it, the badge is still on it, the wheels are still on it. I look under it with my phone, with the video mode. I'm like, oh, the cats are still in it. Then I look inside. The dash cam has been moved from like the concealed spot up by the rearview mirror to the center of the window. There's a cell phone stuck to the magnet mount on the dash. It's got the back seat and passenger seat are full of garbage and stolen mail. And I didn't even bother to look.
The police didn't bother getting for the stolen mail?
I'll get to that. So get in the car, and I try the valet key, and the ignition fires right up. I'm like,
oh, so there was a spare key.
I
somewhere
didn't
in the
even
car.
drive. I guess so. Like, I didn't even drive the car home with the keys that I brought. So I used the key that my car was stolen with to drive it home.
Okay.
So anyway, nothing was missing except for, just like random little stuff. Like, he stole one of the sticky magnet mount things I had in the door from my kit to mount his shitty LG track phone, government phone, onto the dash. But other than that, everything else was there, plus a bunch of crap. There was like a 1990s dad power tool drill in there, and like some knives, some like snips. Anyway, I get out of the impound lot. I immediately speakerphone call the vehicle crimes division to ask what they want to do with all this evidence. And I have a video recording from the dash cam, luckily, which I saved, but they said, you can keep it or throw it away. We don't want it.
What?
They said I could keep it as
It's
a souvenir.
evidence.
Yeah, it's stolen mail. So what I did is I took everything that wasn't opened to the post office, and I gave it back.
Wait, the police said you could keep the stolen mail.
They said I could keep the stolen mail, which even included like a paycheck for the perp that stole my car. And I asked my lawyer, I'm like, since the police said this and I have a recording, is it legal for me to endorse this and deposit it?
what-
And he said negatory.
Damn it.
I'm like, oh. So I ended up throwing all that crap away. But I couldn't believe that. They didn't want his phone, nothing. So again, I submitted a
That's
request with
wild.
the USPS. I gave them all the information about the police reports. And I told them, I'm like, this was a theft recovery vehicle.
I'm like really mad that the police responded like that because like
I mean, they already got
this
2
is-
felonies
all
right off
so
the bat, but
this is
a big
exactly
deal.
why like people say defund the police because like they're not doing their job. Why are we giving them money if they're not doing their fucking job? Like their job is hey, I got a bunch of evidence from this dude that you just booked an additional
with 2 felonies
additional
already.
fucking evidence for a 3rd felony. And they're just like, yeah, just toss it out. We own it. What? Like,
Let me
no.
get to the fourth. So when I started cleaning it out later that next day after work, I opened the trunk for the first time, in which I found some tin snips and a bunch of cut NSP gas meter tags. So I reported that to Excel, and they still haven't gotten back to me. And I'm just like, this is definitely felony level stuff.
This is insane that
This
St.
all
Paul
happened
police-
with 17 hours under this car's belt.
Yeah, but I'm like beyond pissed about St. Paul police right now. Like, this is insane. Mm-hmm. Like, you should actually.
I brought back 30 pieces of mail, and half of it was opened, and I threw
You should
away.
actually like talk to NPR about this. This is insane.
Scott suggested I talk to the news, but I'm too lazy.
No, I absolutely would. This is ridiculous. Like, I'm absolutely outraged about this.
I can tell.
Because, well, no, all right, so people say, defund the police. Why should we defund the police? They're doing their job. No, they're literally not doing their fucking job.
Well, they got you your car back. I'm like, it's fine. I was
They
ready.
got you your car back.
I was ready to write it off.
What about
Yeah.
all the people who just had their mail stolen? What about the NSP gas meters? What the fuck?
And I brought half those people their mail back, too, just
This
out of the
is
goodness of my heart.
Absolutely ridiculous that the police were not willing to do their fucking job.
I mean, it's a pretty lazy little bit there.
That is absolute bullshit.
So,
I will take this to NPR on your behalf
Okay.
if you would like.
Sure.
If you send me if you actually
if you
email
want
that to me-
any of the details,
Yes!
I have a Google Doc with my entire communication record.
yeah, I will
like the
actually.
whole thing.
I work from home, so yeah, I would be fine doing that for you. Because this is totally ridiculous.
There was a lot of opened mail in there, and also like 1,000 Powerball tickets that have been like just put together and like a bunch of scratch offs. They're all, I'm sure, losers. I threw them away. I didn't care, but
No, I would have actually.
I didn't check them.
sir.
But like, I had 3 kitchen-sized Force Flex trash bags full of trash, plus the mail that I recovered, and like
And
the tags.
they
and
did.
I had some tools.
Also, those Powerballs, high likelihood those were stolen as well, which is a third felony that they didn't bother.
Again,
There's multiple felonies.
I was
and
so
it's-
burnt out from this week, and like even just the
Yeah.
work week, just like
Oh, yeah,
hiring
trust me, I
people
know.
that are starting like the next day as I'm in the middle of some phone shit and like trying to get my company's big kickoff week is next week, where everyone comes back online. So I'm getting calls from people I haven't talked to in 5 months having tech issues. I'm like, that's fine, I'm gonna help you, but each one of those takes like 45 minutes, and I'm at work for 8 hours.
Yeah, so you're burnt out.
I'm burnt
You're
out
dealing
from that.
with
I have
this.
no couch to sit down on at home. I've got my car that just got stolen for no reason. Dealing with impound and paying to get it back. I'm dealing with all this other
My
crap.
favorite part about this is when I saw like you post that the unicorn got stolen. My immediate reaction was, out of all the cars that are available,
Yep.
why
Yeah.
would they steal this one and the one with the most recognizable? Like,
It's a driving billboard. Like, that's how they found it.
Yeah.
Like they had a really good. I described all the stickers, their locations, their approximate sizes, their colors, where they were. I gave them photos, high resolution photos.
and they're not only the rally stickers, but your own personal
The hood
social media
is
brand.
entirely engulfed with oval bore.
Yeah, it's a giant.
It is
like-
literally a billboard.
Like that just makes.
And the
no
car didn't have
sense.
any snow on it either. Like,
No.
this was a warm enough day where it was all melted off. But, like, the handyman that's working on my house only left for 25 minutes that day, and the car was picked up during that time.
Yeah.
So, like,
Okay.
they were definitely watching it. But
That's ridiculous.
they came into it, I'm sure, just looking for some valuable shit in the car. And then they just happened to find a key, which I wasn't aware of. But that has to be what it is, because, like, a dealer would be in so much hot water if they made a key for this guy. And again,
Yeah.
the key wasn't brand new.
Well,
And it had Sienna keys attached to it.
It did,
which
yeah,
is-
and a house key and some tags. I'm just like,
so
okay.
the good news is now you potentially have keys to his house.
Maybe he wrote his name on like the owner's manual and every piece of paper in the car. So
Perfect.
What? Oh my god.
Well, anyway, so the good news is now you have.
I have a $130 key,
Yeah, there you go.
which I didn't have before, so that pays
And
for part of the
once
impound
I
fee.
forward this to NPR, you'll have another NPR interview.
Yay! I just found that one the other day. It was on one of the CDs
Yeah,
I
I
burned for
haven't-
the unicorn because it was the only like I did every MP3 I had and I put it on CDs.
And that happened to
and
be
that
on
was
there.
in there.
I haven't listened
I
to
heard,
that
like,
yet. I need to do that. But that's just like, to me, I just saw that and I was like,
Dude.
What the? And then you immediately got it back because obviously. But
Yeah,
it's
it
just
was
like,
less than a day from theft,
every
and it was
time
a matter of hours.
one of our close
Hell.
friends' cars get stolen, I'm always like, why? Because they're always so distinguishable, and there's always something attached to it that like
Yep.
ties it back to that person.
I'm like,
Like with Clarissa's Civic and Josh's like left
Integra.
hand. Yeah.
I'm like,
Right-hand
I'm
drive
pretty
Integra.
well
Drive Integra, like,
connected in the cities too, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
people know about this car.
people have seen it drive through.
Yeah, like
The entire state of Minnesota at this
the
point.
Polar Run rally attendants alone account for like most of the greater Twin Cities area. Like,
Yeah, it's just like
Everybody knows that car. in
I get messaged
Minnesota.
all the time, like, hey, did you just drive by blah blah blah? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not
that's
like one of
just-
my cars where I try to keep my cars as like normal as possible.
Right. I'm like, hey, there was a beige CA coupe. Was that you? I'm like, yeah, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to be the only one left in town, but yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's how you know me, is like,
Exactly.
is it some weird shitbox? Yeah, it's probably Ryan.
So anyway, my week was even weirder than normal, but I figured I would at least let the kind listeners in since I spammed it all over the Carbitrage page too.
Absolutely
But
bananas.
the
Yeah,
car's
I
back.
didn't even bother sharing the stolen post because I was like, this car is
yeah.
gonna get found.
Well,
like,
and I came up to the impound. Had they not answered my call and told me, I was ready to like bring them the title and abandon it. I'm like, if the cats are
Yeah.
gone and the wheels are gone, just keep it. Like, it's not even worth my
Yeah.
time. But I'm glad that at least it's intact. But yeah, Corey's like, this car has been through 100,000 miles of shit in like 17 hours because they smoked in it.
Oh my god.
And like the floor mat is just filthy. So I was gonna drive it down here today and use John's carpet cleaner on it. Maybe I'll do it later.
It might be good to just let it sit for a day or two and get whatever COVID shit out of there. It's just
Well,
let it die.
there was bloody napkins in
What
there.
the fuck?
oh my god.
Like multiple. And Corey's like, why are you
so,
touching that? I'm like,
this
I'm
is-
getting rid of the trash.
This is one of my weird things that always happens with like any like felon or drug addict. For some reason, they're just inexplicably bleeding. Like what the fuck? Like that's a
You
like,
wore gloves at least to get rid of.
No,
he didn't.
Oh god.
It's Eric. Of course not. But no, like.
Yuck.
But
every-
I didn't touch anything until I sanitized my hands afterward.
But this is the thing is
Okay.
like every single like felon I've ever like every time I've ever seen a felony, there's like inexplicably blood.
I'm
Like,
just glad it's not in
just
the
like, guy
carpet.
just gets a bloody nose in the middle of it.
But like, I had like the only thing I had in the car was like a 5-pack of surgical masks with one missing, and like I found
Well, at
them.
least he used one.
No, I found them all over, like the interior, just like they were unused, but just like in between
Scattered.
other
What
shit.
animal
Dude,
does
like
that?
when I was reading through this, I'm
literally
like, this
feral.
guy's homeless.
He's just a feral animal.
And then Jade's like, I think I found his Facebook. It's under a different name, but it was like I found him through his girlfriend, and we have
Hell
mutual
yeah.
friends with John Wayne and a couple other guys. And like there was a snap video where like there was a red poofy coat that looked identical hanging on the hook in this bedroom, and they're like, oh, this guy has 1 and a bit kids and potentially a wife.
oh well,
like-
now he's got potentially all these things estranged from him because he's in jail.
I'm just like, I have such a hard time feeling bad. Like
No,
even
fuck
with
that
these
guy.
circumstances of the world, like
No,
just
fuck that
don't
guy.
steal shit.
No, I don't feel
Yeah.
bad for anybody. Like, listen, if you're like homeless and panhandling, yes, I do feel bad for that. That
But
sucks.
Minnesota
like,
still has resources, really good ones.
Yeah, when I feel bad for people like panhandling, like you know, if it's like drugs or whatever got you into that situation, that actually really sucks because like
Yeah.
there's something that caused your life to go out of control. If you are breaking into people's shit and stealing their mail, any goodwill I had for you like is now immediately gone. Like,
Yeah, and like so little is sent in the mail of substance these days that
Yeah.
it's like when you get mail, it's usually important, and it's just like
And it seemed pretty targeted too, because like a lot of it was Excel Energy stuff or like anything marked judicial. So like there was some method to what was there.
yeah, so
seemingly.
he knew what he was going for.
Maybe.
which is just
but
like
I would have taken some
the
coupons,
mail was from the Phelan neighborhood and from my neighborhood.
but- Okay.
And there were 2 addresses that were on his stuff, and they were both within a mile of my home. And my house was on the way between those 2 addresses.
Oh.
So, and the car was picked up in Phelan, just north, which Corey and I actually drove through in the Tesla later that night, just like, let's go look. But it was picked up just east of where we turned left, so.
Oh man! Like a couple of.
It would have
blocks.
been funny had we found it, but either way, like I said, the car's back. I almost drove it down here today just to clean it, but
Yeah,
I already
it's,
had the Tesla preheating, so.
yeah. Oh my god, like that's just
This is a nice car day. Like, that's what it is. Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. I did it again.
there's like you have your like summer car, but then you have like your nice car, your nice like daily.
If
like,
my
this is-
124 was reachable without moving Blubsky, I would have probably gotten
yeah,
that
like
out today.
it's nice daily day.
That's-
like because like that's something like Minnesota has. But, like people in California don't have that. They don't have a nice daily. But like in Minnesota, like you have your shitty winter car, which is like my '95 Accord. And then you have your nice daily, which is the Fiat, and then you have your actual nice cars, which are not running.
For me, it's just road salt because I was so tempted, especially like this week. I was having like we had a couple 40-degree sunny days,
I got mine true coated. So.
but like the Ferrari isn't. So like if I came down here and drove that through any
you
road
true coat
salt, no, I am not under sealing the 355.
Why?
You don't get that at the factory, no.
It just doesn't make sense because like it's already not a super collectible Ferrari. Like this would be like
Not yet.
If there's ever not me like just because it's like
That's
the
a
higher
convertible.
miles. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
convertible higher mile. Like if there's ever a Ferrari with a true coat, like it'd be like a manual.
No, it'd be a
convertible.
348.
No, it's a 348 wouldn't true coat it at all because it's not worth it. Like, just fuck it, let it go. It's not a collector item. It's just a daily driver. It's 348. Like your car is like actually a collectible car, but it's like it's not.
But I also work on it, and I don't want the bowls to be covered in that shit.
It honestly isn't that bad.
Anyway, so that's okay.
That's fun.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.
We'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.